a subscription-based blood test service that's going to ensure racehorses are adapting safely to their training efforts. And it was developed right here at UK at the Gluck Equine Research Center. Now, some of you might remember us winning 5 across in February, and since then we've come a long way. We placed at the finals at IDEA State U. We sparked domestic and international interest, and most recently we're flown over to Dubai to initiate a pilot study with 2 different clients. Now, who here has been to Keeneland and has experienced the excitement that thoroughbred racing has to offer? Bottom. Okay. Well, along with this excitement comes a high risk for these horses, and sometimes that mitigates itself in career-ending and sometimes life-ending injuries, just like Barbaro here in the 2006 Preakness Stakes. And right now, the industry believes that these accidents are just the result of a bad step, but over 90% of the time, they're not. A study funded in 2009 found that over 85% of racehorses that succumb to these types of injuries had pre-existing conditions not diagnosed prior to their final run. And current veterinary technology cannot detect horses at risk for injury. But that's where the RaceAssured products can be a game changer. We have developed a simple blood test technology that looks at 11 biomarkers in the blood related to hard and soft tissue inflammation, whose levels fluctuate dependent on the health of the horse's musculoskeletal system. And our results reveal comprehensible data that is easily understood by our clients. As a horse enters training, his results will increase. But as he becomes more fit, his results will begin to plateau, even decrease. This is what we call our anti-inflammatory response. It means he's becoming more fit. But what makes our technology so unique is that these results will actually begin to spike or increase when a horse is at increased risk for injury weeks before he begins presenting with any physical signs.
The next 2 slides are from a blinded racetrack study that was funded by the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission. This horse here has a strong anti-inflammatory response to race training, which is indicated by the negative values and the green bars. You will notice one spike. However, if you look at the following week's blood sample results, you see the strongest anti-inflammatory response, meaning this horse adapted well to an increased training effort. And when we look at the race statistics from 2013, he did fairly well, finishing in the money 3 out of 3 times. This horse had a pro-inflammatory response to his training. Even more interesting is that we see the gradual increase in the index over time on the latter part of the graph. When we look at the horse's race statistics from this year, didn't even make it to the starting gate. So you're probably wondering how our system works. First, the samples are originated at the stable, where they're collected in special Tempest tubes that require no refrigeration for 72 hours. Then they're sent to our lab where they're processed with special reagents. Once the biomarker data is generated, we process it with a special algorithm, and if results are normal, the process continues. However, if results are alarming, we notify the contact for that horse and recommend reevaluation of a training schedule or additional veterinary consultation. So what is the advantage with using RaceAssured? Now, trainers can monitor their horses with science rather than a feeling. Veterinarians have more information to make better diagnoses, and owners have peace of mind that their investments are protected. And we all know that horses can't talk, but now with the RaceAssured blood test, they enter the conversation and have input on their training. Like we said, this is a subscription-based blood test, meaning that the real value is realized by monitoring your horse over time. Even so, we have priced our product all the way from 1 sample to our year-long package with a strong gross margin, all the while staying within the bounds of what consumers are willing to pay. And here's our cost structure for the next 2 years. With the bulk of our material or expenses lying in lab materials and reagents at 40%, and then wages and benefits, followed by lab equipment, overhead, and finally intellectual property licensing from the University of Kentucky.
The use of the RaceAssured blood test is going to allow us to safely push the bounds of thoroughbred racing by not only protecting these horses, but protecting the stakeholders of this sport. Once again, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Ben.
And this is RaceAssured.
Judge, you have any questions?
I have a question. So, So, what do you think the size of the market is for this?
Well, actually, to reach our sales goals for the first year, we would need to run 300 samples a week. And currently, we have made a sale to a single stable with 49 horses to be tested over 18 weeks, weekly. So for the first 2 years, 300 horses or 600 horses if they're doing bi-weekly testing is not, out of our range, considering what we've already done and the clients that we've already attracted.
To give you some hard numbers, about 20 million thoroughbred foals are born every year. 22,000. Sometimes I mess my zeros up. Are born every year in the United States, bred to race. About half of them will get to the track, but major stakes racing takes part on every single continent except Antarctica. And
I feel like we can capture all of those markets.
Okay, thank you. Talk about your protectability in terms of what you have that is protectable. Is anyone else doing this? And talk in that sense first.
There is a lot of, studying of different biomarkers in the blood in relation to musculoskeletal inflammation, but to our knowledge, nobody is utilizing the biomarkers that we are, and we have a special algorithm that we're working to be licensed as a trade secret through UK right now. So as long as, we keep that to ourselves, don't tell anybody what biomarkers we're looking at, the algorithm, hope is that we'll be able to keep it pretty secret. Now, other researchers can definitely use some of the same biomarkers, maybe more, maybe less, but we think that the 11 that we're looking at are the most specific to the end goal of this research, which is preventing injuries.
And so every product that you sell solves some sort of problem. The problem you're solving is really making a prediction and preventing accidents before they happen.
Sure.
With your target client, that predictive modeling has got to be right for your brand to succeed. Because if you're wrong, it could be disastrous. So what sort of guarantees are you or projecting to put on your information to say, we're pretty close to being right, or we're going to either guarantee it or what have you?
Well, we're not going to give any guarantee. That's just a liability, because there are actually 15% of these accidents that happen where they are actual bad steps. So that's a little bit too risky for us to take on. However, it's more of an education with the client that when their horse goes into that red area, it'll take a while to get back, but when those spikes start to happen, it's over a period of weeks that those gradually increase and then manifest themselves in the racetrack injury. So it's more of an education to the client that we're not going to tell you how to train your horse, and we're not going to provide any diagnosis based on this test. But from our data, what we know is that if you push your horse so far and these continue to spike and your horse has an injury, well, the signs were there within our test. But we don't provide any diagnosis or expose ourselves in that kind of way.
Any more questions? Give it up.